The alien ship drifted in the darkness of space. Its silver hull was cut by deep burns, black scars from recent battle. Inside, corridors shook with small explosions. Dim red lights flashed like warning eyes. The air was hot and thin. The oxygen level dropped with every passing second. Lyra, a tall alien from the Kreen race, stumbled through the smoke. Her breathing was sharp and fast. She pressed one hand against the wall. Her other hand clutched a small case, the diplomatic codes of her people. If the pirates found them, it would mean war. The control room doors hissed open. She threw herself inside and locked them. Her claws danced over the alien keys. A weak signal reached out into the void, a call for help. She knew no one would answer. This sector was dead space. Her enemies had chosen it for a reason. A minute passed. The console showed no ships nearby. Her heart sank. The air gauge blinked at 15%. She leaned on the desk. Her mind whispered, "This is how it ends." Then out of the black void, something moved. A small human transport ship burst out of hyperspace. It was old, scratched, and clearly no match for a fight, but it was coming fast straight toward her. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Why would a human come here? They had no alliance with the Kreen, and yet the ship was locking onto her docking bay. The ship shook as metal arms connected. Through the small window in the control room, she saw him, a human in dark combat armor, stepping into the burning corridor. The armor was heavy, but the man moved quickly. He didn't hesitate, didn't stop to think. He ran into the danger as if he belonged there. Smoke swirled around him. The floor panels cracked under his boots. He turned a corner and saw her. Their eyes met for the first time. His gaze was sharp, his breath loud in the helmet. Before she could speak, the ceiling above her groaned. A steel beam, half melted by fire, broke free. It fell toward her with deadly speed. Lyra froze for a single heartbeat. There was no time. The human shouted. He ran forward. His arm slammed into her chest. Pushing her clear, the beam crashed down onto his shoulder and back. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. The force knocked him to the ground. The air filled with the smell of burning armor. Lyra crawled toward him. His left shoulder plate was crushed. Through the cracks she saw blood, dark and thick. His breath was heavy, but he looked at her and gave a faint smile. "Move. Get to safety," he said, his voice weak but calm. She stared at him. A human had just taken a deadly hit for her. No one in her life had ever done something like that. She didn't even know his name. The alarms screamed louder. The oxygen gauge flashed red to 2%. She grabbed his arm and tried to pull him up. He was heavy, much heavier than a Kreen. Her legs shook with effort. Still, she dragged him toward the control room. Inside, she pushed him against the wall. Her hands moved over the alien medkit. It beeped in confusion. It couldn't read his biology. She cursed under her breath. The oxygen warning dropped again. Outside the window, dark shapes moved. Small pirate ships. They had found her. She looked at the human again. Blood dripped from his shoulder to the floor. He was losing strength fast. She didn't know why he had come here. She didn't know why he had risked himself for her. But she knew one thing. If she didn't act fast, they would both die. Her fingers flew over the controls. She tried to seal the oxygen leaks. A deep vibration shook the ship. The pirates had docked. Heavy boots thudded in the corridor. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She glanced at the human one last time. His eyes were half closed, but he was still breathing. Barely, she whispered to herself, "I don't know you, but I will not let you die." The control room doors rattled as the pirates tried to break in. The oxygen gauge showed less than 1 minute left. Her hand hovered over the emergency systems. She had only one chance, one move to save them both outside. The void of space was silent. Inside, the tension was a storm. The pirates were seconds from entering. The human was bleeding out. And Lyra was about to gamble everything. The screen faded to black, and the only sound left was the slow, uneven breath of the man who had taken the hit for her. Asterisk, the control room doors shook again. A loud bang echoed through the ship. The pirates were cutting through the metal. Lyra's claws tightened on the console. She had maybe 30 seconds. Before they came in, the human's head rolled slightly to the side. His breathing was slower now. His skin, pale under the cracked helmet glass. She didn't know much about human biology, but she knew this. If she didn't stop the bleeding soon, he would be gone. She searched the alien medkit again. Every tool was made for Kreen. A completely different body. The scanner beeped an error for the 5th time. She slammed it shut. Her mind raced. Oxygen was almost gone. The pirates were almost in. And the man who had saved her life was dying. Her gaze swept the room. Then she saw it. The old emergency pod. It was designed for short survival jumps into space. It had its own small oxygen supply, enough for 2 hours, but it was not built for hiding or for keeping someone alive under fire. She dragged him toward it. The human was heavy. Every few steps she had to stop and pull harder. His blood left dark smears on the metal floor. She pushed him inside the pod and locked it from the outside. Then she grabbed her sidearm, a small silver pistol. It looked almost useless compared to the heavy rifles the pirates carried. The door's final lock broke. A circle of hot metal fell to the ground. Smoke rolled into the control room, and then they came, 3 pirates, big, armored, masks covering their faces. One of them laughed when he saw her. Well, the Kreen diplomat," he said, his voice like gravel. "Where's your precious cargo?" She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed cold. She raised the pistol. Her hands did not shake. The first pirate stepped forward. She fired. A bright flash lit the room. The shot hit his armor, but didn't break it. He laughed again and came closer. Then, a sound behind her. The pod hissed open. The human was standing there. Barely. His left arm hung limp. His right hand gripped a small human sidearm. Black, compact, deadly. He said nothing. He just fired. The first pirate's helmet shattered. The second stumbled back. The third turned to run. Lyra froze for a heartbeat. The human swayed on his feet, but his eyes were sharp. He moved like someone who had done this before, many times. The pirates retreated into the smoke. The corridor fell silent again, except for the hum of the failing oxygen system. You shouldn't be standing," Lyra said quietly. The human looked at her and smiled faintly. "Standing is optional," he said, his voice rough but calm. She didn't know whether to be angry at his recklessness or amazed at his strength. The oxygen alarm screamed again. She looked at the gauge, less than 1%. The human glanced at it too. "We need to fix that," he said, as if it was just another task on a list. Lyra pointed to the damage control panel. "It's deep in the engineering deck, but that's where the fire is," she said. The human checked the magazine in his pistol. "Then we'll put out the fire," he said. There was no hesitation in his voice. No fear, only determination. And for the first time, Lyra realized this human wasn't here by accident. He hadn't just stumbled on her distress signal. He had come for a reason he wasn't ready to tell her yet. The corridor outside was silent, too silent. Lyra knew pirates never gave up that easily. She stepped forward carefully, her pistol raised. The human followed behind her, his limp left arm hanging, his right arm steady with the weapon. The ship's lights flickered. Shadows moved along the walls like ghosts. Then, a sudden thud. The sound came from the ventilation shaft above. Both of them looked up. The metal grill bent inward. Something dropped down, not a man, but a floating drone the size of a Volf. It had sharp claws for cutting metal and a red sensor eye that glowed like blood. "Back!" The human barked. He fired twice. The first shot grazed the drone. The second pierced its core. It fell, sparking on the floor. Lyra stared at the broken machine. "That is not pirate tech," she said. The human's jaw tightened. "No, it's not," he said, and kept moving. They reached the lower deck. The air here was hotter. The walls blackened from the fire. The oxygen system was somewhere beyond the flames. Lyra pulled out a fire suppressor. The human simply walked through the smoke like it didn't matter. His armor smoked. His eyes stayed sharp. He pointed to a side panel. "There. That's your main life support valve," he said without hesitation. Lyra froze. "How do you know the layout of my ship?" She asked. He didn't look at her. "I read the schematics," he said. "But you only docked 5 minutes ago," she started. "Doesn't matter," he cut in. He knelt, working fast with a human toolkit, before she could press further. Voices echoed from the shadows. 3 pirates stepped out, their armor marked with a skull emblem. But they weren't aiming at her. They were aiming at the human. "Cole," one of them growled. "Still running around playing hero?" Lyra blinked. They knew his name. The human Cole didn't flinch. "Guess my reputation's still alive," he said flatly. The pirate leader smirked. "Alive? For now the bounty on you has doubled. They want you breathing, but not for long." Lyra's pulse quickened. She realized the truth. He hadn't come here to save her. He had been hunted. Her distress signal had simply been his way into the sector without the pirates knowing. Cole stepped forward. "Well, you're not collecting anything today," he said. The next seconds were chaos. Gunfire flashed in the dark. The smell of burning plasma filled the air. Cole moved with deadly precision, even injured. Every shot he took found its target. When it was over, 2 pirates were down. The third ran, screaming into the smoke. Cole reloaded slowly. Lyra's eyes stayed on him. "You used my distress call as cover," she said quietly. He met her gaze. "For the first time, yes," he said, without apology. "But when I saw you in danger." That part wasn't a plan. For a moment, neither spoke. Then the oxygen alarm blared again. Cole kicked open the last panel. "Help me fix this, or we'll both be dead in 60 seconds, he said, and despite everything, Lyra stepped beside him, because whatever his reasons, she now knew he was the kind of man who would take a hit meant for someone else, even if it killed him. Asterisk. The oxygen system hissed back to life, cold. Clean air flowed through the vents. Lyra took her first deep breath in what felt like hours. Beside her, Cole leaned against the wall, his good hand still gripping the pistol. He didn't look at her, but his breathing slowed. The tension in the air shifted, just a little. "You saved me twice now," Lyra said quietly. Cole gave a faint shrug. "First time was instinct, second time was, well, pirates ruined my day," he replied. She almost smiled, but there was still something in his voice, something heavy. He was holding back. They moved through the damaged corridors together. Cole walked ahead, scanning every corner. Lyra followed, holding the case with her diplomatic codes. Every time a beam groaned or a vent hissed, she flinched. But Cole didn't. He seemed to know which sounds were harmless and which meant trouble. "How many times have you done this?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, without looking back, he said, "Too many. Sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes not." They reached the auxiliary control room. Cole began working on the defense grid. His fingers moved fast, but not like a trained engineer, more like someone who'd learned the hard way, fixing things in the middle of danger. Lyra knelt beside him, translating the alien system. "You're quick for someone who's never seen clean tech," she said. Cole glanced at her. "I've seen it, just never in one piece," he replied. For a moment, there was silence except for the soft hum of the grid powering up. Then Lyra asked the question that had been burning in her mind since the pirates called his name. "Why? Do they want you alive?" Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't look at her. "They think I stole something," he said. "And did you?" She pressed. His eyes met hers. "I took something. But not for me." Before she could ask more, the console beeped. The defense grid was online. She turned to the sensors and froze. "Cole," she whispered. He stepped beside her. Outside, dozens of small signatures moved through the dark. Not pirate ships, something else. They were too fast, too quiet, and they weren't heading for the ship. They were surrounding the entire sector. Cole stared at the readings. "That's not good," he muttered. "You know what they are?" She asked. He hesitated, then said, "Yeah. And if they're here, this isn't about you anymore." Lyra's throat tightened. What do you mean? Cole's voice was low, calm, but serious. I mean, whatever's coming, the pirates are the least of our problems. The lights flickered again. The sensor screen pulsed red, and in that quiet moment before the storm, Lyra realized something. Frightening. This human wasn't just fighting to save her. He might be the only one who understood what was about to happen. The red pulses on the sensor screen grew faster. Outside the ship, dozens of unknown crafts drifted closer. They didn't broadcast pirate codes. They didn't match any civilian registry. They were silent, and that made them worse. Lyra watched them with a cold feeling in her chest. What are they? She asked. Cole's eyes stayed on the screen. They're hunters, he said. Not pirates, not soldiers. Something between. They don't take prisoners, they take targets. Before she could ask more, the comm system hissed to life. A voice, low, mechanical, filled the room. Human asset detected. Prepare for transfer. Lyra's pulse jumped. They're here for you, she whispered. Cole didn't argue. He just started pulling wires from the control panel. What are you doing? She asked. Overloading the core, he said. If they want me, they'll have to walk through fire to get it. She stepped closer. That will kill both of us. He gave a small half smile. Not if you're already gone. Her hands curled into fists. You're suggesting I leave while you distract them. Cole didn't deny it. This ship's jump drive is slow but working. If you take it now, you can get out of their range. And you? She asked. I'll take my transport and pull them away. It won't last long. But long enough. Her throat tightened. You've already risked your life twice for me. Why? Cole's eyes met hers. Because you're carrying something the galaxy needs more than me. Those codes in your case. They can stop a war, me. I'm just a man with a very long list of enemies. Before she could reply, the ship shook violently. A section of the hull tore open on the lower deck. The hunters were boarding. Cole shoved a small device into her hand, a locator beacon. When it's safe, activate this, I'll find you. Or, I'll try. The way he said it made her chest ache. There was no false promise, only truth. And that truth was heavy. Another explosion rocked the ship. Smoke poured into the room. Cole grabbed his pistol and helmet. You go to the jump drive. I'll meet our guests, he said. Lyra stared at him for a heartbeat longer. Then she turned and ran. Every step felt like betrayal, but deep inside, she knew this was the only way either of them had a chance. Behind her, the sound of gunfire began, sharp and relentless. The human was making his final stand. And every shot he fired bought her one more second to live. Cole moved through the smoke like a shadow. His armor was cracked. His shoulder burned with every step, but pain was something he had learned to ignore a long time ago. The hunters came fast, tall, faceless figures in black composite armor. Their weapons hummed with a strange vibration. Not plasma, not bullets, something older. Something meant to burn through both flesh and memory. The first one rounded the corner. Cole didn't aim for the chest. He went for the joint at the neck. One precise shot. The hunter fell without a sound. But they didn't scream, didn't shout. They moved like machines for every one he dropped. Two more pushed forward. A hunter's blade slashed across his forearm. The armor took most of it. His nerves took the rest. Still, he kept shooting. Because every second he held this corridor was one more second for Lyra to reach the jump drive. One of them spoke at last, not with a voice, but through a cold signal. In his helmet come, Cole, return the stolen memory core, and we will end this cleanly. Cole's jaw tightened. That was it. The real reason they had been hunting him for months. Not for a bounty, not for revenge, but for the memory core. The thing buried in his ship, hidden under layers of false signals. He didn't answer them. Because the truth was worse than they guessed. The core wasn't just stolen. It was alive, and if they got it back, it would mean the death of billions. A hunter lunged. Cole ducked, shoved the barrel of his pistol under its chin. Fired. The body fell heavy at his feet. His breathing was ragged now. He knew he couldn't hold them much longer. Through the thin metal walls, he heard the faint hum of the jump drive. Lyra was close. Good. That meant the plan still had a chance then. He saw the shadow at the far end of the corridor. A hunter taller than the rest. Its armor was marked with a single white symbol. A spiral. Cole froze for half a heartbeat. He knew that mark. He had seen it once before. On the night his entire unit was wiped out, the hunter spoke aloud this time. Your death is not our goal, human, but if you force it, we will oblige. Cole's grip tightened on the pistol. Come try, he said. Then the firestorm began. Gunfire, smoke, and the sharp smell of scorched metal filled the air. Somewhere far above, a jump drive screamed to life. And Cole allowed himself one small thought. Just a little longer, Lyra. The jump drive roared like a living thing. Lyra gripped the controls, her hands trembling. The countdown flashed on the display. 10 seconds to jump. But she couldn't stop thinking about the gunfire echoing below. Every shot was Cole buying her another heartbeat. 5 seconds, her eyes burned. She slammed the controls into standby. She couldn't do it. She couldn't leave him there. She grabbed the locator beacon he had given her. Its small light blinked faintly. She followed it through the ship's smoke-filled corridors. The air was hot, the walls shook, the beacon beeped faster. Then she saw him. Cole was on one knee, armor scorched, helmet cracked. 3 hunters lay on the floor around him, but the tall one with the white spiral mark was still standing. Its blade raised for the final strike. Lyra didn't think. She raised her pistol and fired. The shot hit the hunter's neck joint. The creature staggered. Cole finished it with a shot of his own. The tall figure collapsed, the spiral symbol burning in the smoke. Cole turned to her, his voice rough. I told you to go. She glared at him. And I told you I don't leave people behind. He tried to stand but nearly fell. She slipped under his arm, taking as much of his weight as she could. You're heavier than you look, she muttered. He managed a faint smile. Every wound adds a little weight. They stumbled together toward the bridge. The ship shook violently. The hunters were boarding from another section. Lyra slapped the jump controls. The engine screamed. The stars outstretched into long silver lines. Then the darkness of hyperspace swallowed them whole. Silence. Only the hum of the ship remained. Lyra eased Cole into the co-pilot's seat. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. She reached for the medkit. It still didn't recognize human biology. So she did the only thing she could. She took off her own oxygen mask and fitted it over his face. Her lungs burned almost instantly, but she kept it there until his breathing grew stronger. When his eyes opened, she was sitting on the floor beside him, her head against the wall. He looked at her. You shouldn't have come back, he said softly. She smiled. And you shouldn't have taken that hit for me. But here we are. For a long moment, they said nothing. The quiet was heavy, but not uncomfortable. Cole finally broke it. You got what you came for, those codes. They'll stop a war, she nodded. And you got what you came for. Staying alive, she said. He gave a small laugh that ended in a wince. Barely, Lyra looked at him, her alien eyes bright. In my people's language, there is a phrase. It means, some wounds are worth the pain. Cole tilted his head. And this one? She held his gaze. Every wound was worth it. Outside, hyperspace rolled on. 2 survivors in a stolen moment of peace, not knowing if they'd live to see the next fight, but knowing, without question, they would face it together.